Hi guys, hi everyone. So today I want to talk about karma, and I want to talk about this feeling that we have as a human being that we have to do tit for tat. You know, somebody hurt me, they humiliate me, I'm angry, they I have bitterness in me from this person. It's not fair, whatever this person's done to me, I want them to suffer just as much as I have suffered. All that tit for tat stuff, okay? And I want to talk to you and tell you that our job as a human being is not, we are not here as the punisher. We are not here as the authority to decide what someone deserves and what they don't deserve if they do us harm. The universe handles that. The universe does that. And I'm going to tell you a story to give you an example of how the universe works. And no, you know, karma is a real thing, and it does come back. It does. Trust me, it comes back. So if you have ill intent towards someone because someone harmed you, all you're doing is you're sending out a looping pattern of energy. So say someone did you harm. You know, say someone turned around and cut you off one day, you're driving or bumped in line, and you're like, that person, I hope they get what they deserve. That's what you sent out, right? I hope they get what they deserve. What do you think happens to that energy that you sent out? All energy eventually boomerangs back, right? You know, the infinity sign, energy always comes back, right? So 2 days after you have that event, all of a sudden you're in a minor car accident. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe my luck. I just can't believe this person hit me. Was that your karma? Wishing ill intent on this person? That 2 days ago you felt like you had the right to wish them harm for something that they did to you. So I know this video is going to trigger a lot of people, but I'm going to tell you this story and to show you that the universe, it handles it. Trust me. Someone does you harm, again, that looping energy, it does come back to them in some shape or form. So I was referred a client by a friend, and this client had been in a narcissistic relationship for 4 years. He had been engaged to her for 2 years. He came to me, didn't know what he wanted. He's like, I just want her out of my life. Like, what can you do for me to get this woman out of my life? Like, I think I need to be protected from her. She's that narcissistic. And I said, okay, well, I will go into your higher self and we'll see what your higher self wants. So the higher self took me into the spiritual courts. So some of you may not be aware, but there are, just like we have in in this 3D world, we have courts, a court system. There's actually a court system above us in the spiritual planes as well. I noticed basically just higher levels of consciousness. And what they transpired was these higher beings gave my client protection. But he was not to wish harm. He was not to think about about his girlfriend, his fiancée anymore. He was to let it all go. That was the condition. That was the condition, letting it go. Okay? So I tell him what happened, and I tell him you're protected. All contracts, cords, everything is resolved. But I need you to move forward. If you do not move forward, I cannot guarantee that this protection will remain for you. So he verbalized that he understood that, and I didn't hear from him for a couple weeks. Then he calls me up, and he's just adamant. Do you know she had sex before she met? I went on this I went away, and do you know she had sex? Do you know? All this stuff he came back to me, asking me to sit on, to get answers for him. And I was like, no, I'm not going to sit on this. It doesn't matter if this woman had sex while you were away here, or this happened, or that happened. You're done. It's done. You must move forward. And he kept saying, I want her to suffer. I want her to suffer, Denise. You don't understand. I want her to suffer as much as she caused me to suffer. And I told my client, be careful. Careful what you're wishing for. So a few more weeks go by, and he calls me up again on a weekend. And I'm talking to him for about an hour or so. And again, he's reiterating, I want her to suffer. I am going to make her suffer. I want to destroy her life. The minute he said that he wanted to destroy her life, I felt the energy switch. And I thought, oh boy, oh no, what did you just do? So, when you say something with an intention like that, and you send it out in anger or fear, anger and fear are one of the quickest ways to have that energy come back to you. I told my client that he should stop. I kept telling him, you need to stop. His guides were like at me, stop him. And I kept saying, you have to stop. Stop talking. Stop saying what you're saying, because you're switching the energy. So I get off the phone. And a few weeks later, he doesn't call me. I actually get a phone call from the friend who referred him to me and told me, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. What happened? And I said, what? And they said, oh my gosh, so-and-so was in an accident, a motorcycle accident. I'm like, oh my gosh. Immediately, I got the fiance's name. So I knew it was related to what this person had said a few weeks prior to the accident to me about wanting to destroy her life. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Well, they're in the hospital now. They're losing their foot. It's being amputated off of him. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Holy crap. So I turn around and I'm like, I wanted to sit on it because this was really upset me quite a bit. And my guides came through and they said that the soul of my client wished harm, wanted to destroy this person's life. That's a pretty big intention. So, what the soul of the fiancé did, and this is where I tell you guys, you're not going to see the punishment. You're not going to see what happens to that other person. And I don't even want to call it a punishment. Punishment's even the wrong word. It's what goes around comes around. It eventually does come around, guys. And what is the soul at the moment of my client's accident? The moment. So many things happened. Bam, 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 bam. All in that split second of time. The soul of the fiancé decided to only give my client 50% of the karma that my client had wished upon her. Instead of taking the entire leg, the soul of this narcissistic person asked that he only receive 50% of what he wished on her. So even though this narcissist, the soul, was playing a narcissist in this lifetime, it actually had compassion. Well, this is hard. It's going to be really hard for a lot of you guys, because I know, one narcissist, there's so many narcissists that I was in a narcissistic relationship as well. And hearing these words that the soul had compassion would anger me. I'd be like, no, narcissists don't have compassion. It is a role that soul is playing, whether it's to teach others a lesson or it's for the soul to experience something. Now, what this soul of narcissist, what the karma it's experiencing from hurting my client and others as well, is that this soul will never know true love in this lifetime. That is its punishment. That is its karma. It will never know what true love is in this lifetime. I got news for you guys. That has got to be one of the most horrific punishments, is never to feel love. So even though, in our 3D world, we think punishment should be something we can see. We have to give it. We have to see it. This soul is experiencing something way deeper than we could ever imagine. However, this soul asked that my client only receive 50% of the karma that he wished upon her. So instead of losing his entire leg, dying, that would be the real kick-ass, right? He only lost his foot, which meant it was below the knee amputation, which allows my client to continue his life. He can still run. He'll have a prosthetic. He can still run. He'll still be able to snowboard. He can still drive a car, his car, without having any adaptations needed, because it was his left foot. But the accident could have been way worse. He hit his femoral artery. He ended up putting a tourniquet on himself to save his life. I turned around and he finally did connect with me a few weeks, about a month later after his accident. He connected with me, my client, and he asked me, he's like, what the heck happened? Why was that? What was that? And I hesitated, because I knew for me to bring up his fiancée, that this was the cause of his fiancée and his intentions, that it wasn't going to go well. But I had to be honest with him. I had to be truthful. So I told him, I said, remember our conversation that we had a few weeks before your accident, where you wished destruction on this person, that you wanted to decimate her life like she did yours. He paused, and he says, well, I guess I probably said that. I did get angry during that conversation. I said, yeah, you did. And you wished ill intent on her. So then he turns into the victim, right? He turns around, and I could just see him sitting there on the phone. Well, what's that mean? I can't say anything bad about somebody without this happening to me. Now he's playing the victim. And I'm like, look. I told him, I said, they're showing me your left hand. What happened to your left hand? And my client turns around, he pauses, he stops. He says, oh, funny thing is, throughout that accident, when I got thrown off the bike, my foot going, tourniqueting myself, he said the only broken bone I had in my entire body was the tip of my ring finger. And I said, weren't you engaged to so-and-so, your fiancé? And I heard him pause. He took a deep breath. And he's like, shit. And I said, yes. There's your sign. This is the karma that came back. He got lucky. He got lucky that this soul, yes, in this lifetime, it's playing the role. It's the archetype of the narcissist. But it only wished him 50% of the karma that he wished on her. And the proof of that is the tip of his left finger, his ring finger. So when I talk about, we think that we have to punish people, that we're the authority, we're the judge and jury, right? No, we're not. The universe does take care of it, guys. And you're only going to end up hurting yourself. If you're on a spiritual path and you want to raise yourself up, your bitterness and your anger, your humiliation, your rage, this person did, it's not fair, this happened, whatever it is, you realize that that's impeding your spiritual journey, right? It basically jams up your spiritual journey, because it's that resentment, that anger, that bitterness that keeps you locked in the past, right? You can't move forward on your spiritual journey if you're angry and bitter at someone. How many times have we turned around and we forgave someone? You've forgiven someone, a loved one, a parent, a boyfriend, a friend, and you forgave them. You truly forgave them, and you feel something switch. You feel something switch in you can't describe it. It's like you have this feeling of just, because you gave forgiveness. Do you realize what that is? That moment of you truly forgive someone. It's your spirit saying, now I can move forward. I've let go of that. Now I can move on. Forgiveness resets us. I was listening to Carolyn Mace, and I absolutely love this woman, Robert Holden, and I was listening to one of their classes, and she brings this up about forgiveness, and how it resets us. And it does. It resets our soul. It resets us back on our spiritual path. Because and I'm going to quote her, she made a statement on it, that it's never about now. When you're full of anger and bitterness and hate and feeling like something is unfair, that's something that's in the past, right? So that's just holding you in the past. So it's never in the now. It's about your past. All that stuff is past, right? And that anchors your soul down into the past. I'm not a religious person. I do believe, my path currently is more into esoteric science, but I do believe that there was a man named Jesus. And I do believe that his path, when I look at his path, or hear about his path, of all the things that people did to him, in those 3 years that he walked the earth and healing others, and you read his story, how many of us would have been angry? How many of us would have been like, well, he deserves this because this happened, he did this to me? And what did this man do? He basically let it go, because he knew if he held on to everything that was happening to him, his spirit would not have been allowed to progress. And he needed it to progress. He needed to move forward. because he was on a higher mission. If he had focused on the anger or betrayal and the resentment and stuff's not fair, he would never have been able to accomplish what he accomplished. So I guess what I'm saying is that, again, get yourself out of that programming. It's a very deep-rooted programming that we have. And it does stem back to that victim. It's another form of keeping us in the victim. But it also creates karma for us that should belong to someone else. So I hope this gives you a different viewpoint. You know, when you're angry at someone or you're bitter towards someone, just let it go, guys. Let it go. The universe will take care of it. If that person truly harmed you, believe me, justice is coming to them. It's not our job to be the judge and juror or the punisher. It's going to happen. So, if you find this helpful, and this message helpful to you, please hit the like button. Push this out to other people that might find it helpful. I think we need to get out of that loop, right? This pattern that we've formed. You know, it's like we gotta get out of it. And the only way we get out of it is recognizing that we create our world. If we're angry at someone, we're bitter, and we're tossing things at that person, ill intent at that person, and then all of a sudden we're in a car accident 3 days later, and now it's like, oh my God, why does this always happen to me? Or maybe you should ask, what was it that you wished on someone else? Maybe you should stop and ask about that. Anyway, enough of that for today, right? But I see it all the time with my clients. Trust me, it does come back, guys. It does come back. Around and around. My email address is down below. My website is down below. If I can help you in any way, reach out to me. And again, if you found this video helpful, hit the like button for me. Help push it out to others. And yeah. Have a great day, guys.